Old-fashioned. What? Oh yeah? He's fixing it. Alright. From above. Alright. So we are on page Nunvav, a few lines, about 5 lines above the middle of the page. The line starts with the Rosh Tevas Lifi Erech, Lamed Pei Ayin. Huh? Yeah. So we're explaining the principle of the Shem Havaya and Shem Elokim. The real presence, the real godly presence, which means also, it's a godly presence, means that the only real presence there is the godly presence. And that presence is poshut, has no limit and no definition. And thus from this presence cannot come a world that is limited and defined. And therefore this is why it has to go through a tzimtzum called the Shem Elokim in order to present it in a manner that is suitable for world. However, the essential presence itself remains the same. There's no new source of existence. Source of existence remains the godly presence. No matter how much you're mitzamtzim. That's the only presence there is. and all the abilities, all the koiches come from that one presence. So no matter how much it's mitzamtzim, it remains, it's all really coming from, only representing that. And this is what we're going to say now. That despite the fact that there is all the tzimtzumim and Shem Elokim, as we discussed, Shem Elokim is Malachim and the Masolis and so forth, is all that is involved in actually presenting and defining every Mitzvah Gashmi. Omnam, however, in truth, Etzem HaHizhavus Hu Mishum Havaya. The essence of the Hizhavus is still from Shem Havaya. The Havaya Hu HaMehava Kanal. Because the Havaya, this is what's Mahava. There's no, Shem Elokim does not have its own independent ability to be Mahava. The Mahava is still the same, this which is Posher B'Tachas HaPshitus, the real presence, this is the Mahava. That's the only thing that really exists.
everything is what Havaya have everything is in soul. Kim, what it's only do is like with something, it's become like the thing when you can define. Oh, this is this, not this.
Mm-hmm.
So why Mehav is like you new make something new. But how it's Havaya Mehav this is it's what before in Havaya, but it was like it wasn't defined this specific thing that the Shalom Elohim thinks and he's like revealed from Havaya like a specific object. So why it's Mehav?
The reason we say we call it Mehava is that this specific object does not have a basis for existence of its own. It's all from the Shem Havai. This is what we call Mehava. You're absolutely right. Everything has a Shoresh L'mayla. Everything has a Shoresh L'mayla. Everything is a little L'mayla. And it's all actually revealing. But it's revealing it at such a distant level, such a distant state, that you can hardly trace and correlate the two. And this is why it's called Mahava. Something that occurs in close proximity, you see one thing coming from the other, it's not called Mahava, it's called Gilei HaHel. There's similarity between the creator and the created. But when in world, there is no similarity. You can take an example from the human being. What similarity is there between the words that a person speaks and the seichel that he understands? None. A person doesn't understand the seichel with words. He senses the inyan. And when he puts it into words, that's a separate step, where he takes this thought and puts it into words. That's creating. Because these words don't exist in the seichel. Even though they are emanating from the seichel. Now, what you're describing, that seichel.
That's how Shem Havaya and Elohim relate to each other.
That's right. All right. The Havaya hu HaMehava. The real his havus and the koyach to from his hava is from Hashem Havaya. Because Hashem Havaya, this is a Gilui Elokim. This is a real presence. Canal. Raksha oiver al Hashem Elokim, except that this Havaya, the Oir Havaya, goes through the Shem Elokim, the day, in order sheyovei ha'oir the Havaya, so that the oil from Havaya should go lahavois gam mitzius yesh, to create a mitzius yesh, even a mitzius yesh. V'yoyer boy oir havaya, and then the oir havaya should illuminate that mitzius yesh. Lefi oifen hanivra hahu, according to the level of this creature, to give it presence and to give it life. I want to make a little bit of a deeper point in this. What does the Rebbe say in these couple of lines? It goes to the Shem Elokim, and then the Oir Havaya goes through the Shem Elokim and into the Nivra Lahavoisu Lachayosu. V'yoyer boy Oir Havaya. But ultimately the Oir Havaya has to be mayor in this Nivra. In a Nivra, there are two aspects, and these two aspects in Nivra are actually opposite. Two opposite aspects. On the one hand, every Nivra, let's say you take up, I think that human being is, you make a cup. Every Nivra, everything that exists, is clearly something that was created intentionally. There is planning involved and design until it gets created. So from that perspective, it is what you would call an artificial entity. It's not a basic, real entity. It's made to be. Something that put together in a certain way. So it doesn't have a real presence. That's on the one hand. On the other hand, it has a perfectly natural presence. And there is no question as to how come it exists. It exists because it exists. A tree grows on the ground. It's a whole creation. So you would say if it's a creation, it's actively made, so then it has to fight, so to speak, for its existence. Because it's intruding into the space, intruding into the earth. It doesn't belong there, and it makes place for itself. But that's not what happens. Not what happens. It has a perfectly natural and, so to speak, a passive state of existence. An existence, a poshut. A pshit is the key existence. There's nothing in the earth that tries to get rid of the tree. After all, the tree is an intruder. Right? He wasn't there before, and he's there now. And yet, there isn't that sense that the tree has to, so to speak, fight for its existence. It's as if the tree always belonged there, and always was there. And this is true regarding everything that exists. In other words, words, there's an aspect of pshitus even in the created being. There's a law of physics. In physics, there's a law, I don't know if you've studied physics ever, that an object in space, it's moving, it will continue to move unless something stops it. As long as you don't stop it, it will continue to move. You don't need to continue and energize it. Like, this is what these satellites are flying around in space. The satellites, they're shot up, and they put to move at a certain speed, the speed that the Earth moves around, right, on a certain speed. And once they do that at a certain speed, they stay put, always in the same spot from the Earth. They're constantly moving, but they're always in the same spot from the Earth. They move along with the Earth. But then you don't need to continue to energize that movement. It flies on its own. In other words, this flight is now a real flight, and it is bipshitus. Huh?
What these objects source of energy?
It doesn't need more energy. It becomes a moving object in space, and space says, I don't care if you're moving. Move isn't right. I'm not going to stop.
There's no air over there. There's nothing over there.
Yeah, there's no air.
Nothing stopping.
That's right. In the atmosphere, in the air stops movement. But if there's no air, it just flies. What's called inertia.
You mean in the status?
Yeah, that's right. Above the atmosphere. That's where all the satellites have to be there. Within the atmosphere, it'll burn up in no time. So, this means that there's a certain element that things that exist in the world have a certain element of reality, even though they were created. That means that everything in the world, no matter how minute, ultimately has an oir havaya on it. It has on it a stamp that the Rebbe says, I want you to be. It has a godly element to it. This is even though I would say this is the Shem Elikim, it's a very limited opinion, but the Oir Havaya is mislabish through the Shem Elikim. And what happens as a result? It really lives. It has a real presence. So the Shem Elikim is malim on the Shem Havaya, but it is not eliminating the Shem Havaya. It's malim so that it would create a very limited entity. But ultimately, that entity exists because of the Shem Havaya. Otherwise, it could not exist in an instant. could not exist one instant, a moment. Okay? Thus it comes out, the ho'ikir hu ho'oi d'shem havaya. That the principle, what exists in the creation, and the ikir of the creation itself, and the power behind the creation, is the oil of the Shem Havaya. But the nimshach ha'oil alidei Shem Elokim, but this oil is drawn down through the Shem Elokim, v'alidei malachim u'mazolos, shoshoshem Shem Elokim, and as we said before, and then similarly there is the malachim and mazolos that are rooted in Shem Elokim, v'chol ha'memutzoyim, and all the intermediaries, everything contributes to this ultimate entity that was created. Until that a Metzias Hagashmi should come to be in actual fact a Metzias Gashmi, and it comes from Oir Eliki. Okay? V'im kein. And thus, I move on. It is therefore very clearly understood that memutza mitzad atzmai einoi klum. This memutza on its own is nothing. It does not have its own power to create. Being that this whole hashpo and the koyach of these is not from him. Kiyim, only shalidei ha-memutza, that through the memutza, oiver hashpoaz ho'er ho'leki hamave kol ha-nivroim. Through this memutza goes through the oir ho'leki that creates all the nivroim. But it is the oir ho'leki that creates. Im kein, and therefore, thus ein laksher was ha-memutza klal. There is no point, there is no justification to consider and give value to the memutza at all. The memutza has no presence, no value. And as the Posuk says, Hayispoer ha-garzen al ha-choytz. Garzen means the axe. And choytze means the one who is cracking who splits the tree, splits the wood. So, in order to split wood, you have to have an axe. And bottom line, what splits the wood? It is the axe hitting the wood. That splits the wood. Can the axe there, but the axe does not split the wood unless something swings the axe and hits the wood by the axe. The axe cannot hit the wood on its own. So therefore there is a choytze, the person who does the splitting using the axe. Can the axe then hispoya, can the axe then claim any superiority? Can the axe claim any value? Can it claim, so to speak, self-respect over the choytzeh? Says you couldn't split, I split the wood. No, it's not, because the splitting of the wood occurred by the koyach of the person who swung the axe. It's not the axe that split the wood. It is the swing of the arm that split the wood. That's the real koyach that split the wood. The hagam shechoitzev ale de hagazen, what the posuk is actually saying, that although that he is splitting it through the gazen, using the gazen, the axe mikol mokoim hachoitzev hu ha'odom v'lei hagazen. Who is given the credit for splitting the wood, for chopping the wood? The person, not the gazen. Choitzev is the odom, not the gazen. The gazen atzmoi lo yasem uma. The gazen on its own cannot do anything. Lo yasem uma. Cannot do anything. Ki im ha'odom poil al yedei hagazen. It is the person that affects through using the gazen, but the gazen on its own cannot do anything, and it's not getting the credit for having accomplished what it has done. And thus, lo yoimar odom, one would never say, "Kama noa binyan zeh shebnoi hagazen." How great and glorious is this building which the garzen built, which the axe or the hammer built. That's a totally incongruous, incorrect statement. Or the opposite, Kama meshubal hagarzen, how praiseworthy and how great is this axe, shebono binyan mefur kozeh, that built such a beautiful and glorious building. You'll never say that. Elo mefarim es ha'odom shebnoi. We praise and we glorify the person that built the building. The person, not the garden. Ushmoi nikro al habayis. Whose name is applied to the house? It said, who built the house? It is the name of the person. Avol Shem HaGarzen, the name of the Gazen, Ein Nikra Alov Klal. It's not at all applied and referred to it. V'hainu, and that is Mipnei, it is because She'ein Rak Shal Yodei Bo HaBinyan. Because the Gazen is nothing more than the fact that through him came the binyan. But it's not that he is the boina, not that he is the one who built it. Through him it came through, but the boina is the person. The garden is not at all a Baal Bchira. He cannot at all even present an opinion, should be building or not. The aim by koyach be'atzmei livnes, and it does not have koyach on its own to build. Kim ha'odam hu ha'bein. The odam is the one who is the bein, not the gazen. Now, this seems to be a very simple moshel, and yet the Rebbe goes such length, so many lines in trying to present something that seems to be so simplistic. So we need to understand what is this moshel. In truth, in fact, without the garzen, the person couldn't build a building. one was supposed to build a building without a garden, he would have to go and collect trees that rotted and fell down on the ground. Collect them, put them together. It would not be the same building at all. So the building that we're looking on is really the effect of an axe. I was able to chop this wood, trim it down, straighten it out, and make everything fit perfectly the way the building is built. So we actually do see the effect of the Gaza. So this is what we concluded before when we talked about Shem Havaya and Shem Elokim. And we said that what happens to Shem Elokim is that the Shem Elokim defines what is to be made, and the Shem Havaya is the one that which provides the oil for it to be. So the actual builder is Shem Elokim. But it comes into being because of Shem Havaya. It's the oil of Shem Havaya that makes it be. The same is true in this mashal of the Odom and the Chaytzer and the Garzen. The Garzen is actually chopping the wood so perfectly. But the Garzen has absolutely no idea of what a building is, of what existence is. The Shem Havaya has an idea of existence. This is the real existence. Shem Elokim doesn't. Shem Elokim can only speak after the Shem Havaya. There is, okay, do it this way. But the Etzem Inyan of existence doesn't exist in Shem Elokim. It's a Shem Havaya. The Garzen doesn't know that such a thing as a building exists. And can we relate to it in terms of its existence? It can be used to make it. But like we said before, to make it and for it to be are not the same thing. Huh? Do again? Yeah. All the Mitzvahs are like a Garzen.
Garden is like comparable to the man. It's like it's nothing.
No, it's not nothing. You can't build a building without a Garzen.
It's not alive. We don't have an internet. It's like Zoimem and it's Medaber.
Yeah, so what? So what? Zoimem, Medaber, what about the it makes no difference. You can't build a building without a Garzen. No, let's not mix it. So let's try to understand this clearly. The Garzen, without a Garzen, you can't build a building. So you could see the sign of the Gazan in every part of the building. It was chopped so nicely with a Gazan. It's put together so perfectly with a hammer. You can see the effect of all these tools everywhere. What?
It's the same time it's also an attribute of Hawaii.
Well, that's what we're trying to see the correlate the two muscle, the muscle to the nimshal. His habits, that there should be anything. That whole concept is from Shemavai. Shem directs what should be and how it should be. And that direction itself is also actually rooted in Shemavai. So this is what we're saying, that the Gazan is the builder. The Gazan is the means by which we're building, but is not the builder. Who is the builder? I say, but why the Odom? What's special in the Odom? Oh, he knows what a house is. It's a real thing to him. And this is what builds the house. Like I said before, let's say you put the cup over here. The reason it continues to stand here is because it serves the person. It doesn't stand here on its own. Oh, I reserve this place for myself. That's not what happens. You understand? It stands there because the person gives it the place. In order for this, that's what I explained to you before. Like you have you throw something and it continues to fly. Continues to fly. So in Mechoira, there's nothing there, it just continues to fly. Just the opposite is true. This feather, it continues to fly, that is its real presence. This is what gives it a real presence. Right, I explained to you that a real presence is that which is not fighting for its existence. It really is there. And this is why this emotion is accurate. The Gazan was only involved in the action. But what keeps it being, what makes it be? The person. He is the point. He's the one who gives it real presence. K'moi kein, the similar Indian, Yuvon behamamutsoyim hoel yoini. Similarly, we can understand regarding mutsoyim hoel yoinim, the intermediaries above. Sheheim rak gazem yad hachoytzei, where they are only gazem yad hachoytzei, like the axe in the hand of the chopper. Shal yodom oiver hahashpo, where via through them goes through the hashpo. Avoloi shebo mekoyach atzmom, but not that it comes from their own strength. Nothing comes from them. Ve'einom ba'alei b'chira klal behahashpo. They do not have a say in the hashpo at all. Should the hashpo be or should it not be? Kiyim, rather hamashpiya hu ho'elokus. The real mashpiya is the elokus shemashpiya b'rtzoyne yizponech, who is mashpiya through his will. Just like in the case of a house. Why is there a house? Because a person wants a house, not because there is an axe. Benim shekoha hashpom adidei hamemutzoyim hanal, and then this hashpo is brought down through this mitzvah. Why does the hashpo come through the mitzvah? Bigdei sheyizhava mitzias hagashmi, in order that there should be a gashmi thing. In order to bring gashmius, it has to be through the mitzoyim that conceal the koyach halaki. V'yumshach lohem shefa oil v'chayis gashmi lefi erkom, and then through these mitzias gashmi should come the chayas that is gashmi, chayas that is totally on the gashmizik level, lefi erkom, according to their erech, according to their level. What does it mean according to their level? According to their level means that there is chayas in them, but this chayas does not change them from gashmis into ruchnis. They remain fully gashmi. And as it explained elsewhere regarding the principle, the posik, that Hashem will bless you in all that you will do. So this posik is saying two things. It's saying that it was b'cheil hashetas, that you will do, but then what is the real hashpor that comes from this deed? It is Berach Hashem Elokecha. Sheha'odom tzorich lasois v'lasoig ba'asiyah gashmis. A person has to do and engage in physical activity, such as business, transactions, and such other activities that engage, that produce results in the Gashmizik world. But that is mipnei shetzorich leka b'chayusai meyoyer v'chayus gashmi. Because that he needs to receive this chayus from chayus gashmi, from a gashmistic source of life. This is why he has to engage in mais and gashmi. If he could have been living, if he could actually survive from spiritual oil, as for example, a person could actually live and survive from the light of seichel. Let's go to the next page. At the end of the second line, we'll come back here. If he could be living from a Tainug Ruchni, Oz Loihoyo Tzorich Lasek Be'esek Vasiya Gashmis. Then he would not have to engage in any kind of physical activity. Okay, now let's go back to the parentheses. This principle, if he could live from Tainuk Sichli, so the Rebbe says that this is not a far-fetched thing. This actually exists. Dugmas, Kabbalas, Chayos, Haneshomes, Begamed. This would be similar to when the Shomes receive Chayos in Gamed. Shemekablim Chiyusom Mehahasogo Be'elokus. They receive their Chayos from comprehending Hasor, Be'elokus, comprehending Elokus. And as it says, Yoish v'meneni miziv hashchino, they sit around and they delight from the light of the Shechina. And that itself is sufficient to keep them alive. And as in fact, it will actually be La'osi in the future, Shomer Hazal, but the Chazal said, Ho'ilam habo ein bo yachilu shtiya. The Oilam habo does not have, there's no engagement of eating and drinking and so forth. Elo, what then is Oilam habo? Tzadikim yoshim. Tzadikim will sit, vitreishayim beroshayim. Their crowns are on their heads. Benani miziv hashchina. And they have oineg from the ziv hashchina. And this is the sustenance. This is their source of sustenance. The nani miziv hashchina. This is their source of sustenance. So, to be higher and higher in Nani Miziv Hashchina. See, the point is this. This Nani Miziv Hashchina is similar to what we explained before in the Oyer Havaya coming through in the Oyer Eliki. Because all Chayus is from Elokus, from Havaya. This is the only source of existence and subsistence and Chayus. Today we have to eat, and eating gives us sustenance, because the oil eliki that gives us sustenance is mislabish and gashmius. But we are not sustained by the gashmi; we're sustained by the oil eliki that's in the gashmi. The same thing in Yosef Lovitz, Adikim Yeshim, the Nen in the Ziv Hashchina, this Nen in the Ziv Hashchina, this is their connection to the Shechina, to Elokus. And this is how they get their chayes. From the Shechina. Directly into their oinig. They don't have to eat it. Nen in the Ziv Hashchina. I can point it out. All chayus comes from one source. Nothing exists on its own but Elokus. And for it to exist, it all has to get chayas from the Lakus. It's to be connected to the Lakus, one way or another.
Show me the highest connection.
To a Lakus. הרי דוגמס קבולת החייס עכשיו, מאכילו ושתיו. There we see that in similar manner as we receive chayes now from eating and drinking, kashmius, kein yiyel osid, in contrast to this, and exactly in the same vein, will be in the osid love in the future, kabbalas hachayus mimashiyenu mizivashkim. Kabbalas hachayus will be directly from the hanor yenu mizivashkim. The reason that now we have to be makabel chayes machilu shtiya is that the goof is too coarse to receive chayes from the nefesh. Directly. The goof is gashmi, the nefesh is ruchni, and the gashmis of the goof is such that the goof by nature is lazy, it's lifeless. And in order to bring life into the goof, you have to bring the goof a kind of life that the goof appreciates. There's an interesting thing, we mentioned it in the past one time, that really, I should put in taste in the food. This taste is really necessary for the food to have its effect. Because if food is tasteless, then the goof cannot relate to it and rejects the food. In order for food to have a good effect, it has to be permitted, so to speak, by the goof to enter. And this permission is gotten by this taste. The goof has to open up and accept it and allow it to be integrated, adjusted and integrated. In other words, the union of chayes today, now, is due to the fact that it's entirely to get the goof to want to live, essentially. The goof doesn't want to live. The Neshama wants to say the goof doesn't want to live. He doesn't know what it's about. He wants to sleep. That's why you have to give the goof chayes gashmi, and then that awakens the goof and gives the goof a geschmack in level. You know what I'm saying? A taste in to live. At the acid level, when the goof is going to be completely refined, it will be at the level of the neshama. The goof will be on the level of the neshama. He will appreciate living, appreciate the godliness as much as the neshama will appreciate godliness, and even more. Then the ziv hashchina is enough to give it life.
How we receive this life? Body take a food and eat, then get the high. How the Shema receive the life?
For seichel. Of course, it will be revealed, will be readily understood, readily recognized. Huh? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So this is going back to before the parentheses. If we would be able to live from the Shekhinah, from Elokus directly, so then then we would not need to engage in any Asiyah Gashmis. Rak, except because that he must receive this chayes. And a Gashmizik level, this is why the hashpo of chayes has to go through the asiyah of Beis Gashmi, to engagement in physical activity. Shetizgashem hahashpo lefi erkoi, so that the hashpo ruchnis, hashpo elekis, will become nisgashem, will become coarse and physicalized, lefi erkoi, according to the erech of the guf. Omno, but nevertheless, etzem hahashpo hi me'elokus. The hashpo itself is from elokus. Like we said before, the only thing that really can be my mashpia is elokus. The only thing that really exists is elokus. Raksho yever as a hashpo, said that the hashpo passes through. Aledei memutzoyim, the malachim umazolois, through these mitzoyim intermediate malachim umazolois, validei ho'esek badvorim gashmim, and then also by the engaging in dvorim gashmim, umislabeshes hashefa belechem gashmi, and then the shefa becomes contained and represented belechem gashmi in physical bread, ukedoina. Shemizem mekabel chiyusei. And from this lechem gashmi, he actually receives his chayus, but not to say that the chayus is from the lechem gashmi itself. It is from the oil leki that is in the lechem gashmi. Abba calls that, but it still remains. And his whole chayus is oil leki shemislabesh v'nimshach loy alidei hamemutzoyim ho'ela. It still remains that this is the oil leki, that there's machaya him is the oil leki. That is contained in this lechem gashmi and comes to him through the musoim, through this intermediary. The real chayas is from the Eiroliki. I want to tell you a little story. This story is actually a moshel. A moshel that illustrates chayas Odom, human chayas. There's this person who finds himself in some place in a field, a tremendous cold, snow all over, and it's extremely cold. The temperature is extremely cold, and he has to reach a destination, so a house of a place of an inhabited area where he can find his rest. And the only way for him to get there is by walking. It's in the middle of nowhere. And he is walking along. He has his little peckle, whatever he is carrying, he's trotting along with all his strength to go to that place. And as he's trotting along, and it's extremely cold, he gets tired. Cold makes a person tired. It drains all the heat. It drains a lot of energy. Also the cold itself becomes extremely tired, and he would like to take a rest. But he knows that if he should sit down to rest and take a nap in this frost, then God forbid he'll freeze to death. He won't get up. So he knows that there's no way that he's going to sit down to rest. No matter how difficult it is, he strengthens himself, he regains the strength and continues to go. After a long period, the cold permeates. You know what permeates means? Goes through and through his whole body. The feeling of cold, the reason a person feels cold is the contrast. Inside he is warm and outside is cold. So he feels the contrast, he feels the discomfort of the cold. But after that, the cold goes through the body, he no longer feels discomfort. On the contrary, he feels pretty comfortable inside. And the comfort is very calm because it's no longer active, very active inside. It feels pretty calm. It feels it feels glorious. It feels very good. Rested, in a good spirits, in a good frame of mind, assured. So as this sets in his mind, he says, yeah, why not sit down and take a little rest? He doesn't sense anymore the danger because he feels everything is good. It's not even cold. Let's sit down over here. You're tired. Take a little rest, and you wake up and you go. And he decides, yeah, it's a pretty good idea. He's no longer trembling, no longer realizing what this thought is. Looks around. He finds a comfortable spot near a big tree. He settles himself down, puts his speckle down, settles down, rests against the tree, high. And he throws his hands down, the hands also were tired carrying this speckle. He throws his hands down, and he basically closes his eyes. In the meantime, with his fingers, he kind of plays with the snow, as a person does. plays with the snow, and all of a sudden he begins to feel that underneath the snow there's something there. It's not just snow. The snow is, you feel some hard element that he is touching. So he continues to play with the snow and kind of push the snow off and feel the element more, until he begins to feel, hey, there's a little shape there. It's not just a piece of rock, it's kind of a shape. After a while, he becomes curious. What is it? What's there under the snow? So he turns around and starts looking. Hey, there's a human face over there under the snow. So he pushes the snow away, and he puts his ear to the heart, and the heart is still pumping. The person is still alive. The person is still alive under the snow. He goes with all his energy. He starts throwing the snow off quickly, clears up this person off the snow, clears him all up, picks him up on his shoulder, and starts running with him. He runs. He comes into town, and he saves the life of this person, and he saves his own life in the process. In other words, a person can be energized and given chayis from all kinds of different things. Not just from food. Here he couldn't walk anymore. All of a sudden he can run, carrying a person on his shoulder. Because chayis comes from the neshama.